Hey guys, this is gonna be my first video ever, actually. Doing a car review of my 2019 Chevy Impala LT, and pretty much just going over like some of the things that I like about it, some of the things that I don't. Part of the reason that I actually chose this car because I had the option between this or an older Malibu, and yeah, that's it. So I'm just gonna find somewhere to park and get to it. Alright, so first things first. Let's talk about the engine. It's a 2.5 liter four cylinder making 197 horsepower and I think 191 foot-pounds of torque. And it's pretty roomy in here. I do maintenance on all of my own cars or all of the cars that I've ever owned. So it's actually pretty easy to get around. So yeah, it's easy to work on. It's actually kind of quick for a four cylinder. There is a V6 variant that makes 305 horsepower, but I can't really keep my foot out of the pedal, so that would just equate to higher gas prices for me, basically. Appearance-wise, it has more of an aggressive look, which I do like about cars. I don't really like curves as much. I like more defined, sharp lines, and this actually does it pretty well for me. Not surprisingly enough, though, also, this was modeled after some of the newer style Camaros, which would make sense because this is Chevy's flagship sedan. So why not model it after one of your most iconic cars that your company has ever produced? The trunk actually has like a lot of space in it. Don't mind the mess. That's just some things that you kind of can't go without if you're out on the road and something happens, such as like tire plugs, jack stands. I've got a spare jack in here, and oil pan and a few other things. Don't mind it, but yeah, it's actually a lot of space in there. You could probably fit three bodies in there. There's also an auxiliary battery back here, in addition to the battery that is up in the engine compartment as well. This thing rolls on 18-inch wheels, aluminum alloy. I actually like the stock wheels a lot, even though I was planning on getting some different ones. Maybe just slightly bigger, like around 20 inches. That's what the LTZ or Premier versions have on them. But I actually like the styling of it, so I might just keep these. I actually have a lot of customization plans for the trim and just the paint and some of the body in general. The exhaust doesn't sound bad either. For the four-cylinder models, they actually have the single exit exhaust. Over there for the V6 variants, they have dual exit exhaust. Some of them have the same type of bumper. For the LTZ trim, you actually get to see the exhaust outlets because of how they're made, but this has remote start, so I can actually show you what that sounds like. Now to the inside of the car. Each door has at least room for two cups, and I actually have a 20 ounce, actually slightly over 20 ounce if you want to be technical, cup here for my protein shakes and stuff, because why not, just for example. And then coming in here, this is a steering wheel cover, but I got it because I thought it fit the black leather interior and the rest of the car. It's not real leather, but I mean, it serves its purpose for me, color-wise. That's really all I want it. Turn the car on. Has dual climate control, which is pretty cool. I don't really use it a whole lot, but it does have the option to actually turn it off. So there's like sync on right now, so if I were to turn this up on this side, Then it would change the temperature over here, and then since I turned sync off over there, I can turn it down and it'll do well for whoever's in my passenger seat. Also, there is this one pretty cool feature. There's a hidden compartment, which I don't know if you really call it hidden, but you can pretty much fit most things that you carry in your pocket in there. There's a small button that you gotta press and hold. And there's your compartment, and I keep things like my wallet or pens and stuff in there since I'm always writing. And then it's actually pretty cool because if you have something sticking out in the way and you try to close it, instead of breaking it, it'll just go back up. And then after that, you just gotta press it and hold it, it'll go back up, and then do it again and it'll come back down, no problem. This does have Bluetooth on it. Not really going to go into all of those features, but this is pretty much just a quick overview of the interior. Going into the back seat, it's a lot of room. More cup holders in the doors. Actually, I have some vinyl wrap, spray on, a mask, and some tape and stuff. And if you get in, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm like average height. I'm 5'10", maybe 5'11". I haven't really measured myself in a while as far as height goes. But it is good enough for the average person. And then I have plenty of leg room. And I like to sit with my seat back a little lower. So most people can fit in here pretty comfortably. More comfortably than some cars like the newer Chargers, which I kind of feel cramped in, like even if I was driving one of them. I got a car seat in here, don't mind that. I have 2 more cup holders. Pretty much everything about the seats and the interior is black leather. That doesn't sound nice. And you have like spaces to hold stuff, just small things, but there are more vents back here. And of course you have the pockets on the backs of the seats. The driver's seat is fully motorized, so I can pretty much move it any which way I want to. Go back. That helps it go up, back and forth. And then it's also got a lumbar support, which you probably can't even tell is there by looking at it, but trust me, it's there. Probably gonna have to readjust that pretty soon. Then you've got another compartment that you just press in, and that pops out, and there's another place to store even more stuff in. You've got your parking brake, you've got your interior light controls, which can be dimmed. You've got your trunk button, which I never really use, but it comes all the way up. There's really only one problem that I have with this car, and that's visibility out of the back. My last car was actually an SUV, and I don't know if maybe it's just me being used to driving that around because it's got a taller profile and it's easier to see through it because it's basically pretty much just a door in the back. But visibility isn't really that good looking through here. And even though this car actually does come with a rear view camera, that's not really how I learned to drive. So it doesn't really help me to do that, and I can't really see that much out of it. Just going through some of the features, you have a few options as to what you want to see. I typically keep it on my speedometer setting, just because it's easier to look at when it's right in front of me and I don't have to like read the dial, and I have a habit of going a little bit over. So you have the info tab, which I'm already in right now. So if I go down, it shows me a few things like trip and average fuel economy. Once again, it shows you another trip mileage, and then how many more miles I have remaining in gas. Instant fuel economy, which is pretty much just like you going from a stop and then moving and depending on your speed, it shows you how many miles per gallon you're getting at that instant. Oil life, I just changed my oil not too long ago, I think like 2 weeks ago, but I drive pretty frequently, so tire pressure, which I actually need to work on my front left tire, it seems, and average speed. Not really sure how they calculate this, but it's something for you to look at. Coolant, which is actually really helpful, because even though it has the gauge at the top on the right, it's kind of one of those things that you want to know in case you just have problems with that. And then back to speedometer, and then you can go down, and there's audio, which if you're listening to music or something, it shows you what song you're on. Phone, pretty much like if you want to call somebody, and there are voice settings on the steering wheel if it actually wants to focus. And you've got navigation, which so far for me, all it's done is show me like the cardinal directions, northwest, east, and south. Not really sure, maybe I should try that, but yeah, that's all it does for me. Maybe there's something more that I need to be doing. If you do know more than me about this, please let me know in the comments. And then if you keep going, you have other options. So units like US, like do you want it to tell you miles per hour or kilometers per hour, and the speed warning. I never have that on. I guess this is helpful if you're just really adamant about not going over the speed limit, but I don't see the point in having it. And that's pretty much it for that tab. Now I think it's time to drive a little bit. I'm just going to start off by saying it is actually a very smooth and quiet ride. Not really going too fast, but it seems like no matter what speed you go at, unless you're hitting, close to like 120 or 130, of course, you're going to have some speed wobbles there. But otherwise, this is probably one of the smoothest cars I've ever driven. Also, something that's pretty nice about this, it goes when you want it to. But a problem that I have with it is that these cars are actually built with turbos, and they're not for performance, but they're for fuel economy. With that, there is a little bit of a turbo lag, and there is actually something that I'm going to do to try and eliminate that. But otherwise, it's pretty good. It's kind of loud for a 4-cylinder when you punch it, and the brakes work very well also. Sorry about the camera moving. Coming out of turns, it accelerates pretty smooth. If I wanted to go all out, pretty sure you guys can hear it. But like I said, this thing is pretty quick for being a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. There's that warning. Got the center console, my headphones, and some change. This is pretty much where I keep all of my air fresheners and my cords, a few extra ketchup packets, because you never know when you could be out trying to get some food and then somebody gives you some food, no sauce or packets or anything. Then I've got 2 USB ports and an aux port, and then I have another car charger that has a USB port and another cord attached to it for USB type B or A, I think. So part of the reason that I chose this over the Malibu, I think it was a 2015, I really just wanted a more aggressive look. Uh, Also, I like cars with more body to them, and the Impala just seemed like it had more length to it. It sits up a little higher, or it can sit up a little higher because you can adjust the seat settings how you want. So it's pretty much a good car for people of all heights, but those are just my preferences. One thing that I did like about the Malibu, though, because I actually had the chance to drive one, when I would go into turns on it, it wasn't like this Impala at all. There actually wasn't as much body roll, and you didn't feel it move around as much. It kind of just stuck to the ground. You felt very firmly planted, or at least I did. So yeah, that's pretty much why I chose that. Plus, I just wanted something newer, something that I knew I was going to keep for a while, because I do plan on keeping this Impala for at least the next 10 years. So I wanted something that I knew was more than likely going to last that long. 0 to 60 is supposed to be 6.2 seconds. So let's actually see. It's not the fastest car in the world, but for it to have the small amount of power that it does, that actually is pretty quick, especially when looking at some other cars that are more powerful, that have all-wheel drive, and they take like 8 to 9 seconds to get all the way up to 60. So it's something that's pretty interesting about the car. Something else that I like about it, especially with it being a 4-cylinder, save on gas a lot, I drive a lot, and I do plan to shave maybe a second, maybe two, off of that 0 to 60 time, just because my main focus on this car isn't really to get a whole lot of power out of it, because I want to keep it fuel efficient, because I like to travel between states. So I really want to focus on cosmetics, more so just because I hate chrome, and the car has a lot of chrome trim on it. And also, I want to get better acceleration. So those are going to be my biggest focuses. Here's another compartment. Press that in, and it just slides up. There's more room for stuff. Keep cards and stuff in here, medicine. There's also another port for a car charger or a cigarette lighter. And to close it, just slide it back down and press it down, and it's done. And that's my 2019 Impala LT review.